Rick Santorum, fresh off a narrow loss in the popular vote, but about a dead heat. And, when the final numbers come in, maybe even a win in the delegate count in Michigan as things move to Super Tuesday, the battle continues. And Rick Santorum, former senator from Pennsylvania, on our Newsmakers line with us this morning. And, Senator, good to have you with us.
Well, thank you. We're pretty excited to come into Governor Romney's hometown and get out, spend anywhere from, depending on press reports, 6 to 12 to 1, and come out with at least as many delegates as he is. We won half the congressional districts, and which means we're going to have as many delegates coming out of Michigan as he is. And there's one congressional district still up in the air. We could actually come out of Michigan with more delegates than Governor Romney. That's and of course that's the game.
I know you're getting sick of this.
We're doing great.
I know you're getting sick of this delayed results business. Because you come out of Iowa and you didn't win, and then 2 weeks later when it doesn't matter as much you win. Today the headlines are he wins Michigan. If later today you won the delegate count, this delayed business has to be getting on your nerves.
Well, it would be okay if we were on the right side of it at least once. But we're seemingly on the wrong side. But you know what? In the end, what matters is that we've been able to just do amazing things with limited resources, and that's changing. For the first time last night, you heard Governor Romney go out there and say, "Hey, we need more money." The fact is We've had a great month of February in raising money, and we're gonna probably raise over between $8 and $9 million in the month of February alone. We had over 120,000 donors in the month of February, and here's the great thing about it: our donors, about 2/3 of them are small dollar donors, under $100, and according to the reports we've read of Governor Romney's donors, only about 9% of his donors are under $100. So, we've got great grassroots support out there, and we feel very good that that's going to propel us, in the Super Tuesday states coming forward.
And folks that bet money, it's kind of like going to the racetrack. If somebody, is just watching the race with casual interest, they're not as interested as if they bet $2 on some horse running down the end of the racetrack. If you've got an investment, no matter how small, you're all in.
Yeah, that's really the exciting thing, is that we have so many people across this country who have who've donated their $10, $20, $30. Our average donation is about $60, and in a presidential campaign where you see most of these candidates are funded by super donors, at $2,500 a head. When we have that kind of broad base of support, it's one of those things. We know our campaign can continue on, and we're husbanding those resources very, very carefully. We are not running debt. We're spending what we have. We have very, very tight budgets. We're running this campaign like we'd run the federal government, and I think what you're seeing is that there's one candidate here who can do a lot on a little, and that's the kind of leadership we need.
There's a difference in illness and serious illness. If your neighbor has something, it's an illness. If you have it, it's a serious illness. You now understand what happened to Newt Gingrich when he goes into Florida and Mitt Romney jumps $20 million on his head. You just had, basically the same experience in Michigan. When it's happening to the other guy, it's interesting. When it's happening to you, it's a lot less fun.
Yeah, although I would say we've held up pretty well. If you think about it, we got dumped on, and we're walking out of here with as many delegates as Mitt Romney, and unlike Florida, which was neutral territory, if it wasn't for Oakland County, which was Governor Romney's home county, which is a big suburban county, very wealthy county here in Michigan, he won Oakland County by the margin he won the state. So if you take that county out, we actually were dead even in the popular vote here in the state of Michigan. So we feel very, very good that we came in his home state, his backyard. We're outspent badly. Came out of here with as many, if not more, delegates than he did, and I think it's a real bump for us going into Ohio and Tennessee and Oklahoma and Washington State, which is coming up on Saturday, and even Georgia. We feel like we have an opportunity to finish very, very strongly there. Newt's spending all his time and energy there, but we feel like Ohio, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. That's sort of our that's sort of our wheelhouse right now, and we're going to be working those states very, very hard.
And in fact, you're going to be in Tennessee, in Nashville, where we broadcast from later tonight at a fundraiser at Lee and Kelly Beeman's home, two of my best friends, and then over at Belmont University, a great rising star university, doing a big rally at 8 o'clock tonight. I think doors open at 7 o'clock for folks that want to be a part of that rally. The robocalls in Michigan got a lot of attention and discussion yesterday. Was there a backlash? Did it help you more than it hurt you? And do you think the robocall controversy hurts you going from Michigan, where there was at least some impression that you were for the auto bailout to help you there, but against it in other states? How does the robocalls play both in yesterday and beyond?
I was very clear. I wasn't for the auto bailout. I mean, I gave multiple speeches here in the state of Michigan. What the contrast on that was, I wasn't for any bailouts, and Governor Romney was, and he was for the Wall Street bailout, but not for the bailout of Detroit. And that's the point I was trying to make, that he was not consistent and not principled in that regard. At least you may not agree with me that I was against the bailout, but at least I was consistent in my principles. And we went out and did what Ronald Reagan did. I mean, Ronald Reagan would in 1976 went into the state of Texas, having lost a whole string of primaries, looked like he was out of it against Gerald Ford. And what he did is went out to Texas and actively solicited Democrats, conservative Democrats, to come and vote. We did the same thing. We went out and actively considered, moderate Democrats. I wouldn't, conservative Democrats, conservative for a Democrat, not conservatives themselves. And guess what? We won the congressional district in the city of Detroit. That's two delegates we picked up because we went out and appealed to the very voters that we're going to have to appeal to if we're going to win Ohio, if we're going to win Pennsylvania, if we're going to win Indiana. So we feel that was a good strategy on our part to go out and get those votes that were eligible to vote for us.
And yet some of those Democrats are acknowledging they were only voting for you to cause trouble. I mean, they had a different strategy perhaps than you did, and the vote's still a vote, I guess, at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, we were talking to different people than some of these other groups were talking to. That happened, by the way, in other states where these liberal groups go out and try to swing the election for one candidate and the other. It happened in New Hampshire when they went out and tried to help Governor Huntsman. But I just remind folks, Governor Romney actively sought Democratic and independent votes in New Hampshire, and he did a better job than we did because, in New Hampshire, with the state that he won, 53% of the people who voted in the New Hampshire primary were not Republicans. In this case, it was only 10% here in the state of Michigan. So the idea that Governor Romney has pure hands on these things, you go out and you try to get the people that you can to vote for you if they're eligible to vote, and there's nothing wrong with that.
When you look moving ahead to Super Tuesday, it doesn't seem to me, Senator, that anybody's going to get a knockout punch. You're doing real well in Oklahoma. You're doing real well here in Tennessee. You've got some other states that I think may go into your column. You and Newt Gingrich are not on the ballot in Virginia. Massachusetts would go to Romney. Georgia may go to Newt. It looks like we're going to continue this slog of delegates where 1,144 is the magic number, and nobody at this point seems to be well on their way to getting that number.
Well, I think our game plan is that if obviously we need to do well in the three states I just talked to you about, and I'm hopeful that if we can win in Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Ohio, just along that belt, it shows we can win in the South, we can win in the Midwest, and we can win in the Upper Midwest, and then we can win out in the Plain states in the Southwest. So I feel like that's a pretty good and here in Michigan again we ran strong in the Upper Midwest. That's it's a pretty good national strategy. We can win out in Washington State with the caucuses coming up on Saturday, and we're going to be heading out there on Thursday. We feel like we've got the best example of showing that we're the kind of candidate that can win across this country, as opposed to Congressman Gingrich basically spending 3 weeks in his home state in order just to pull that off. We look at it and say we can go from there in winning the states that we're going to win.
And you may not have broken it down really.
North Dakota is another example.
And you may not have really broken it down at this point, but a lot of the counties and kind of the rural, suburban counties you did so well in Michigan really fit well what you're going to be playing in Ohio. So I think where your appeal is, clearly translates.
We won most of the counties in Michigan, and the thing that really hurt us was there were over 100,000 ballots that were delivered and cast before we won Minnesota, Missouri, and Colorado. And those votes, those early votes, we trailed very,
and that's
very
what
badly.
happened in Florida as well. When
and,
they
on
did the
election
same
day,
thing.
we won.
Yeah, in Florida, they did the same thing with that early voting, their organization and the money having a big impact. Senator Rick Santorum, thanks for being with us. Congratulations on a good day in Michigan, and we'll see you later today in Tennessee, and we'll catch up. By the way, do they have the sweater vest in the double XL? I'm a big guy. Do they have them in that
double,
size?
Triple, you name it. And by the way, they do run large, so be careful.
We'll see you later today, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back in a moment. This is the Steve Gill Show.